So the first thing we have to do is we have to say we lost a legend today. A legend of acting, a legend of entertainment, a legend of sports. Most people don't know that. Carl Weathers passed away today. And for those of you that don't know who he is, because I think some of you don't know the guy's name, he's Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies. Obviously been in Predator. You might know him as Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. I know him as Apollo Creed. Most people that know me know that just all of the Rocky movies are some of my favorite movies of all time. I have the box set. Did I get it as a gift? No, bought it myself because I love those movies so much. And he was, to be honest with you, throughout those movies until they killed him, we'll get to that in a minute, my favorite character from the Rocky movies. Even in the first one, they made him a villain. They made him a villain in the second one. And then in the third one, he gets his redemption arc. But even as the villain, there was just something about him that I always, even as I was a young kid watching these movies, but even as a young kid, I was just drawn to him for some reason. I related to that guy for some reason than I did Rocky. Now, he was portrayed as this sort of, well dressed, well kept, well spoken champion, and Rocky was from the slums and he was the underdog, and everyone knows the story. For some reason, I was drawn to Apollo more so than I was Rocky. So, nonetheless, Carl Weathers passed away today, and this is a huge blow to me, man. When I saw the news, I was devastated. I just that character Apollo Creed and him as a dude, being a guy coming, he played 8 seasons in the NFL and then decided, I think I'm going to go act. I'm going to pursue that instead. That's crazy. It's not like you're a guy who was in professional sports and then they built movies around you. No, no, no. I'm going to go be the villain alongside the star, Sylvester Stallone. Totally crazy. So, nonetheless, positive thoughts and vibes to his friends and family and those that know him well. Again, I know him as Apollo Creed. That character played such a huge role in just my childhood, and those movies were long before my time. Long before my time. I mean, I didn't start watching them until, by the time I was a little kid, those movies had been out. People had seen them, they had known about them, but we had a bunch of old dusty VHS tapes in my house, and it just, my mom would put labels on them all, and she would record them from the television and write on them. So she wrote Rocky with the Roman numerals, and the first one I watched was three. The second one was four, and then I had to go back and watch one and two later. But again, huge part of my childhood. I can't tell you how many times I watched. Rocky Four is in my top 10 movies of all time. I think it's one of the best movies ever. Say what you want. I don't give a shit. But I mean, I'll tell you what, I watched that movie. I've seen that movie over 1,000 times, easily. Until the age of 12, when Apollo died, Carl Weathers' character, I probably cried until I was like 12. Am I embarrassed to admit that? No, I don't care. I think one of the more important scenes of any of the Rocky films, and for those of you that don't know, there are a ton of those movies, but in the second movie, there's a scene that happens between Apollo and Tony, his trainer, who, by the way, sticks through a lot of these movies. You'll see him a lot, but there's a really important scene, and the scene is important because in Rocky 1, Rocky's the underdog. He goes and he gets a one in a million chance to fight the champion of the world, which is Apollo. He loses a decision, but everyone's inspired by his performance. And in the second movie, Apollo's having this doubt within his brain, then his mind and his soul that I think people think I lost this fight. I want redemption. And everyone's trying to talk about it. They're like, he's not fighting anymore. Rocky's done. You beat him. Let's move on. You're the champ. You're rich. You're famous. Let's get a payday. Let's get somebody else. Apollo won't let it go. So there's this really crucial scene that happens between he and his trainer, Tony, where Tony gives this speech to Apollo, basically being like, it's not for us. I'm going to stop talking. I'm just going to show you the scene. In my opinion, one of the best scenes in cinematic history. It's so good. So this is from Rocky 2. By the way, Rocky 2 was in 1979. By the way, Carl Weathers was 75 years old. So pretty decent run. Nonetheless, gone too soon. Here we go. So set this scene up. So Apollo's trying to essentially convince everyone that he needs to get this fight again, a rematch with Rocky to prove that it was a fluke. I won, or, even though people think I didn't win the fight, I'll beat him the second time and beat him the way he should have the first time. So here we go.
I don't know about anybody else, but as long as I'm going to be promoting this fight myself, I want a lot more pressure put on for a rematch.
Hey,
We can get the same money for the two top contenders. Why go after Balboa? Why?
Because there's still a lot of people out there that think he won. There's a lot of people out there accusing me of having the fight fixed, accusing me of being a fake and insulting my kids at school. That's why.
You want to hear the truth?
Yeah, I want to hear the truth.
The truth is that last time he was damn lucky. Now he's all finished. I mean, he's been hanging around doing nothing for 6 months. And any trainer worth anything wouldn't have nothing to do with him. Now I say, let's go after some new meat. Forget this bum.
You think I beat him the last time? Do you?
So think about it. This is a guy that came from the NFL. He's in one of the biggest movies of all time. They make a sequel. In the sequel, and there's a very pivotal part of this scene. The sequel, you're the villain in the first one. You're not, people aren't supposed to like you. They're not supposed to root for you. In the second one, he could choose to be the good guy and move along. And they wrote him into this story as you get to be the villain again, but also you get to be worse than the first time. The first time you were given a handout. The second time you get to rub it in his face. You really get to people dislike you. You get to be so nasty that people hate you, which was not the case in the first one. The first one was like, oh, underdog, go Rocky. This one, it's like, no, we're going to position you as the villain.
You got the decision.
Man, I won, but I didn't beat him. What are you afraid of, Tony? Honest?
Best part right here.
Yeah, honest.
Walks up slowly.
He's all wrong for us, baby. I saw you beat that man like I never saw no man get beat before. And the man kept coming after you.
Kept coming.
We don't need that kind of man in our life.
Love that shot.
I know what you're feeling. Let it go. Let it go. You're the champ.
Thank you. Look, you're in charge of my public relations.
Thank you,
right?
but fuck you. I'm going to fight
Whole
Rocky
new
again.
campaign started. I want something done publicly to bring this man out. I want something done to jar at this man's pride. I want something done to get the people around him talking. All right?
You realize if we use this humiliation tactic, you're setting yourself up as the bad guy.
Look, man, whatever gets him in the ring.
So good. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. What a bummer. Again, I'm bummed by this one. It's one of those. I can't explain it other than the Rocky movies had such a huge part in my childhood. For those that don't know, boxing and fighting is just a huge part of. It's just what I love. I'm not a fighter. I'm trying to pretend to be a tough guy right now, but I grew up watching boxing. My dad used to sit me in front of the TV to watch fights on ESPN, on USA, on HBO, whatever it was. So those movies struck a chord with me. So again, gone too soon, Carl Weathers. So with that said, who's ready for the Swiftie Bowl? Are you all ready? It's a week away. I made a prediction on the show a month and a half ago. Prior to that, probably a few episodes before a month and a half ago, we talked about who would play the Super Bowl halftime show, and we read a list of potential people. None of the ones we read actually got picked. Ended up being Usher is doing the halftime show, which is great. I'm not going to get into why are no rock bands ever considered for this. I have my theories. Well, let me give you my theories. I don't think rock bands make themselves accessible for a Super Bowl halftime show. I think the rock community, I think the rock writers, I think the bands, a majority of them, and I think the fans especially rebel against the idea of a band playing a show like that, because it's always been about pop, it's always been about the spectacle, it's always been about look at me, which is just goes against about, now in 2024 goes against what rock is about and metal's about, and punk is about. Fuck that. What happened to rock stars? What happened to I'm going to run this stage. I'm going to rule this stage. I'm going to put on the show that you'll never forget. What happened to that? But we'll save that for another episode. We'll see how Usher does, and then we'll talk about it. But one of the things I said, and one of the stories that came out, is that Taylor Swift was offered the halftime show, and she turned it down. Now, there's an important thing to be said here. Not that I can remember, and I'm not going to go Google it now. Not that I can remember. Has it ever been publicized that an artist has turned down the halftime show? I think it's been publicized that an artist was offered it, they agreed, they had to pull out because of A, B, and C, so on and so forth. I don't think it's ever been publicized like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that. So my prediction a month and a half ago or whatever it was, when the whole Swiftie Kelsey romance started and then everybody started bitching about seeing her on TV during the games, was that if the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl, you will see her perform at halftime. Lo and behold, the Chiefs are once again in the Super Bowl. You will see Taylor Swift on that stage with Usher. And I said this to a buddy of mine the other day. He goes, why would Usher agree to that? I go, why wouldn't he? Look at how much money she's made. Look at how much revenue has been driven because of this. Look at how many eyes have been on Chiefs games, let alone NFL games, because of her presence. I know it bothers people. That's fine. It shouldn't bother you. How many of you that are complaining about seeing her on TV have ever cared about fan reactions to the plays in the first place? You watch football for the games. I don't watch football, and I love football. I don't watch football for the fan reactions. I don't give a shit how the fans react to the plays. I don't pay attention to that when I'm watching the game. I celebrate on my own, or I get disappointed on my own, or I get angry on my own. I don't need those people to convince me that I should have any of those feelings or emotions. Thus, if I were a Chiefs fan, or if I were a fan of the team the Chiefs were playing, I don't need Taylor Swift to make me happy about what just happened or upset about what just happened. I'm going to feel those things regardless. So I don't need to worry about the camera cutting to her for 15 seconds after a play, after a touchdown, after an interception, after something happens. Usually it involves Travis Kelce, obviously. But so all of you that are worrying about that, why? Why do you care? It's not ruining the game. It's not changing anything. And for those of you that thought it would ruin the chemistry that that team had, here they are again in another Super Bowl. We get to watch the Chiefs in another Super Bowl. And I'll be honest with you, my team got eliminated in the first round. I like Patrick Mahomes a lot. So I'm excited to see him play. And that Chiefs team is just good. They're fun to watch. And for whatever reason, they don't feel like the New England Patriots to me. They don't feel like one of these teams that's always there that I just can't stand. Like, can we get someone else? I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. Call me a hater. I did. I couldn't stand Tom Brady. I couldn't stand the Patriots. I couldn't stand Bill Belichick. I couldn't stand Rob Gronkowski. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes don't bother me that much. I like watching them. There was a meme going around. My favorite part about the Super Bowl is how a bunch of people that were supposed to stop watching football over kneeling will be complaining about Taylor Swift. Couldn't be more true. You same fuckers that were pissed about the kneeling and wanted to boycott. I'll never watch again. I'll never watch again. You're disrespecting the flag. Look at what you're complaining about now. A large majority of you. So let me just say this. For you folks who have been complaining about it, you know you're still going to watch, albeit you might be rooting against the Chiefs, which is fine. Do it. You don't care that Taylor Swift is there. You don't care if the camera is on her. I've seen a lot of theories. It's like it's insecure men who aren't secure, whatever. We all are like this at some point in our lives. There's something that happens that annoys us, and we complain about it, whether it be publicly or to ourselves or to our family members or to our close friends. You do it. So no, I mean the insecurity thing, fine. There are some insecure people who that bothers, but also I think some of the people they're just it's something to complain about. I do it. I'm guilty of it. If you've watched any of the 182 episodes we've done prior to this one, you've seen me or heard me complaining about something. It happens. It's life. We're human. You do it. This particular situation, not my thing to complain about. And for those of you that are, fine, continue. But you know you're still going to watch. That is the point. You're still going to watch. And when she steps on that stage to perform with Usher, your boy called it. That's all. So something else we need to talk about, and for those of you that don't want to be old or don't want to feel old, I'm going to make you feel old now. It didn't even occur to me until I saw a post, but albums that are turning 30 years old this year, one of those being the classic by Green Day called Dookie, came out in 1994. It's hard to believe it's been 30 years since that came out. It's bizarre to even think that. Classic album. One of the most important albums of people say pop punk history or punk history, but I say music history, to be honest with you, because it opened a lot of doors, not just for punk bands, not just for what would become pop punk bands, but I think for rock bands. I think what it really did is it exposed rock bands to a new level of the mainstream that, to be honest with you, they hadn't really seen before. Now, 3 years prior, Nevermind by Nirvana came out, and it changed rock and alternative music in the mainstream, and it made it something different. This album added an extra, an extra ingredient to that idea, to that reality of like, hey, rock's in the mainstream. And it's no longer hair metal, it's no longer adult contemporary. It's this new thing that kids can really latch onto. So one of my favorite songs from Dookie is not one of the it's not one of the more well-known songs to, I guess, the casual Green Day fans or whatever, but it's a song called FOD. I believe it's the last track on the record. And man, when I bought this album, it was the one that for whatever reason just it caught me in a way that no other song on the record did. And I think it's to this day, I think it's one of their best songs. So here we go from 1994 from the album Dookie. This is FOD by Green Day.
Something's on my mind. It's been for quite some time. It's time I'm on to you. So where's the other face? The face I heard before.
By the way, classic album cover. It's hanging in my son's room right now. He has a very kid-like, but also not kid-like setup in his room. He's got album covers. He's got Dookie. He's got Mother's Milk. Mother's Milk. But this was when he was a baby, but we kept it by Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's got some Hendrix in there. Anyway.
Your head trips boring me. Let's do the bridge we torched 2,000 times before. This time we'll blast it all to hell. I've had this burn.
I love how the chorus, it's just him and a guitar. Again, very particular to the time, I want to say. It's a very 90s thing. And I wish bands would try to do that more these days without being called, butt rock, or I don't know. There's like this stigma with this like dumbed down, stripped down thing that this song is. There has to be all these elements going on. Sometimes it's good to hear this, and Green Day did it well.
In my guts now for so long. My belly's aching now to say. Stuck down in a rut of dislogic and spud. A side of you well hid. When it's all said and done, it's real and it's been fun. But was it all real fun? Let's do the bridge we torched 2,000 times before. This time we'll blast it all to hell.
I think another thing that I really loved about this and that connected me to it along with my friends is it was this stripped down thing that we could just sing to, we could just relate to. We could all sing it together. I remember a bunch of us gathering around a TV where someone put the CD and the DVD player in one of those built like at the TV had the DVD player in it. Pop this in, skipped FOD, and we would just gather around the TV, and it would just be like this sing along thing. Might be lame. I don't know.
It's burning in my guts now for so long. My belly's aching now to say.
I just, sonically speaking, the drums on this record, the guitars, everything sounds so crisp and so good. Vocally, I think I've always said this about Dookie, I think vocally there's something left to be desired there. But again, we're talking about a band who was a punk band and kind of, it was the record that was supposed to, well, I don't know if it was supposed to, but it was the record that set them apart from their peers. But vocally, I think there's something left to be desired, but I'm a vocalist. I'm picky about these things. Not that the vocals are bad. The vocals are great. but sonically speaking, the way the production of them, I don't know.
Get right, and tell it get the fuck off and die. I've had this burning in my guts now for so long. My body's aching out to see. I'm taking pleasure in the night.
Signature Trey drum fill. Love it. All of his drum fills. So good. Underrated drummer. Drummer's comment. Is he a guy that you guys talk about? I know all the drummers that I've ever played with, he's not been one that they've named that is their favorite or their like inspiration, but somebody let me know. Great song. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Love it. Catchy and just a well-written song. Let's do one more from the record. Let's do She from this record. Oh, this is from 1994, live in Chicago. Let's see what it's about.
She screams in silence, a sullen riot penetrating through her mind.
God, what a good song.
Wait, let for a shine. So smash
This
your
chorus hits,
silence
it's
with
so
the
good.
brink of self-control. Why you let your bitter world that's been planned for you? Why you feeling like you're so shelter without a hills?
And it's, again, underrated harmonies as well. I feel for this band always. I know they're very simple, very punk rock, but very good. Sound really good. God, that place is huge. Where are they playing right now? Where is this at? Does it say? It doesn't say. Live in Chicago, but it doesn't say where it's at. Someone leave in the comments where this is. That wherever they're playing is beautiful. Huge place.
Can nothing shine? That smashes silence with the brink of self-control. Why you let your bitter
More Trey fills.
Why you feeling like you're such a hills? Stay back me until my ears bleed. I'm taking it's just you.
How long did he play that guitar for? That's what I want to know. I'll have to do the research. The guitar, I believe it's a Strat with the BJ on it and all the stuff. He should bring that back if he hasn't already. Now, that's an important thing to say too. I like this record. I like Kerplunk. After that, I'm not the biggest Green Day fan, and they have a bunch of stuff. They have great songs. Don't get me wrong. Those two records were insanely, insanely great. Broke the string. Don't worry about it.
Bye.
Great band. Great band. Great record. So 30 years. 30 years, kids. Dookie, you feel old yet? I do. Another thing I want to do while we're on music, which is kind of the point. A band that I really love, one of my favorites, has a new record coming out real soon. I don't know the exact date. I'm not gonna look it up, but they've released a few new songs. My first live show ever in 1994. Ironically enough, I was a small child that should not have been at a show, but I was. I was there. POD. They've been releasing some really cool new music, and we've talked about on the show playing some of it. We just haven't gotten around to, we wanted to do quite a few of these that have come out, but I'm going to play you the newest one. It came out 2 weeks ago called I Won't Bow Down. So this band, again, has been putting out music same amount of time as Green Day. Obviously didn't get successful until 2000. Was it 2001 Satellite? 2000. Well, Fundamental Elements of Southtown came out in 1999, saw quite a bit of success, but the big one was Satellite in 2001 with Alive and Youth of the Nation, so on and so forth. So let's play something new here by POD. This song is called I Won't Bow Down. Again, I love the 2-minute and 38-second songs. Love it.
The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. The top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Run for cover, you'll discover some will thrive, another suffer. Cause the top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Ooh, don't wait, don't hesitate. Better speak the truth, let it resonate and let it detonate and get blown away till you keep on rising to a higher place. Can't stop, won't stop, don't stop coming.
So a while ago, we talked about there was a list that Loudwire brought out of the best MCs in rock bands. And I don't remember how many were on the list. Maybe it was 20, maybe it was 10. I can't remember. But we talked about the ones that should have been on there that were not. Sonny from POD was not on there. He definitely should be. And when he raps, when he flows, whatever you want to call it, when he brings that element of hip hop to the music, he's very good. And I think he's one of the more underrated guys from this genre.
We hit the top, gotta keep pushing till the day I make it. Since they won't give it to me, then I got to take it.
What's with the baby? Bring it in. Boom.
His power tomorrow. Keep on
Classic
coming,
POD
but you'll
hook.
never catch me running, 'cause I won't bow down. No matter what they say, I wouldn't do it any other way. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running, 'cause I won't bow down. Top of every mountain is the bottom of.
So for those that don't know, episode in the 50s, I think is when I talked about this, but I played a show with these guys. I've played quite a few shows with these guys. I played a big festival with these guys here in my hometown, and I played the day before they did. So it was a 2-day festival, and the second day I just went to hang out and be a part of it and see the bands that I love, like POD. I got roofied. And I was really looking forward because I knew I would be backstage and maybe bump into these guys. And I wasn't going to be weird or lame about it. I wasn't going to like fanboy out. I was just going to be like, if I ever had a chance, I'd be like, hey, big fan. Really appreciate you guys. You mean a lot to me. Something like that. But I got roofied and I crawled on all fours to a bathroom and was laying face first down on a toilet. And Sonny saw me and said to one of my bandmates, hey, homeboy's fucked up. I wasn't fucked up. I had one beer before I got roofied, and that's how he saw me. Fast forward 6 years, I played with him again, and I said hello to Sonny. Obviously, I didn't bring up meeting him while I was face first on a toilet, but nonetheless, life happens.
Another, the top of every mountain is the bottom of another. Naughty nothing, keep it smothered. Lower class, never the upper. Cause the top of every mountain is the
baby is
bottom of
freaking me out. Very weird. Weird choice.
Go to
Whatever.
a new level, see me levitate. Watch me elevate to a better mind state in a positive dimension of a better fate. Talk about it, be about it. Ain't no doubt, you better go all out. When your heart starts racing, your body shaking, you only get one shot, so you got to take it. The pain today is power tomorrow. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running, 'cause I won't bow down. No matter what they say.
It's a cool music video, very basic. I like performance videos. I don't need a story, but the babies. Is there a reason for this baby in the video? Not quite. Is that it's got to be someone in the band's baby. It has to be. Does it say here? I'm just talking shit about a baby. I'm not talking shit. It's just weirding me out.
I wouldn't do it any other way. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running, 'cause I won't bow down. It's an over
Very cool. That was POD. I won't bow down. You know, I'm going to say this, and it's not an insult, but they've been making songs like that, variations of what that song is since their album Brown in 1996, and I love them for it. They do that well. That is POD. That's a POD song. So, is it Youth of the Nation? No. Is it Boom? No. But it's a good song. It's POD, and I think a lot more people should appreciate and love them for stuff like that. So, you know, another thing is the Grammys are coming up. When are the Grammys? So I know they're coming up soon. Is it Sunday? Let's have our normal Grammy conversation and about the presence of rock, metal, and punk and hardcore or whatever. Yeah, Sunday. So Sunday are the Grammys. And every year since we've been doing this podcast, we talk about the Grammys. We talk about the rock bands and the metal bands and the punk bands or lack thereof that are nominated for Grammys. So I'm going to say this. Does a Grammy matter in the grand scheme of like your pride, your integrity, your musical integrity? No. I think a lot of bands don't give a fuck. If I was nominated for a Grammy, I would be there. I'd be dressed to the nines. I would be drunk. I would accept, and if I won, expect the most insane speech ever, if they even let me on stage. But the bands that don't care about it, I get it. You know, long time ago, Pearl Jam won a Grammy, and Eddie Vedder got on stage. He's like, I don't really get this. We're rewarding people for their art. I understand music's art, but I always cringe at the idea of calling it that. I understand why people do. Don't get me wrong. It's not what I identify as or what I identify music as or the reason that I play music or write music. But so I understand why some people want it and some people appreciate it and why some people just don't give a shit. Now, if you do win a Grammy, you can't deny it. It will help your career because forever after that, you're known as Grammy Award winning artist. That means something to people, especially in the mainstream and especially people who listen to music and buy music or stream. I'm sorry, it's 2024. Stream music, you know, they'll subscribe to that Spotify playlist of Grammy winners because you know those are going to come out. And even if they don't listen to a lot of rock or metal, if you're on that list, they're going to appreciate it. But we've always talked about, you know, why are the rock and metal nominees usually older bands, not newer bands, not younger bands, not bands that are doing things currently that are like changing things? I don't know if there's a real reason. I would kind of relate it to the same thing as, you know, rock bands playing the Super Bowl. I think a lot of bands find the Grammys to be cringe. I think a lot of bands find the Grammys to be sort of a stuck-up version of what the music industry is that they don't want to be a part of. Fine. In a lot of ways, I agree with that. But make it your own thing if you can. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done, and a lot of these bands don't even get that opportunity because they're not nominated. They're not even allowed to be a part of it. But let me just say this. So I'll pull up the list of rock and metal nominees, and I have 1 point to make, and it's very simple. But so let me pull this up. I like how they have fields. Field 2 is rock, metal, and alternative. So best rock performance for new vocal or instrumental solo, duo, group, or collaborative rock recordings. Arctic Monkeys, Black Pumas, Boy Genius, Foo Fighters, and Metallica. So I don't even know where to begin with this. I love Foo Fighters. I like Metallica. I'll be honest with you. Let's look up the Black Pumas song because I know who Arctic Monkeys are. Black Pumas is a band that I'm not as familiar with, so let's look that up. It's called More Than a Love Song. Pretty cool name for a band. I'm not gonna lie, I dig that band name. Here it is. It's my first time hearing this. Okay. Dig this guy.
When we help get to the other side of a great divide.
I'm just gonna stop here. I love that guy's voice so far. Would I call this a rock song? No. So the Grammys are reaching with this. They had to find somebody. I'm not trying to take anything away from this. Is it a duo? I only see two guys, but not a rock song to me yet. Let's keep going.
Fly together. You're master, grandmaster, war. That's the war.
Wow.
I feel so hard.
That voice is
sometimes.
insane.
You got to use the music.
Jesus.
Sweet soul music to reignite your soul divine, to reignite your soul. Cause life is more than a love song. It's more than a fantasy, more than a little bit. Yes, life is more than a dream, y'all. It's more than a fantasy, more than a little bit. So take your time and realize, fly.
It's very cool. I like that song a lot. It's not a rock song. Just because there are distorted guitars, it doesn't mean they're rock or that's rock. Why is that not in the best R&B category? That's an R&B song. I don't understand. Again, great song. Beautiful song. That guy's voice is fucking incredible, but it's not a rock song. Phew. So I'm not sure what the Arctic Monkeys song is. So I would love to hear that.
While I'm sucking it to you, performing in Spanish on Italian TV.
All right, let's get into it.
Come toward so long in kind
So we're
of
a minute
trying
20
to
in, it
cause
still
a
sounds like this.
scene. Mixed message against together.
Is there a hook?
On the marble.
Okay, I'm not in the right mood for that, so we're going to stop that. Maybe seeing that live after a few drinks and a little nibble of an edible, that might be cool. All right, so the point is this. Jesus. Well, let's get into Foo Fighters, Boy Genius. I don't even want to look it up. Black Pumas and Arctic Monkeys. I'm sorry. So Black Pumas were called, oh, that was Best Rock. So Best Metal, we have Disturbed, Bad Man. I don't know what that song is. Again, Ghost. Again, nominated for a Grammy that they won't win. Metallica, 72 Seasons. Hive Mind by Slipknot and Spirit Box. Spirit Box, there you go. Okay. I'm going to say this. Spirit Box should win. Get some new blood in there. Get the Grammy audience and the people that give a shit about this knowing some new blood. Please, please. Best Rock Song. Angry by Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Andrew Watt, the Rolling Stones. Ballad of a Homeschooled Girl, Olivia Rodrigo with her other writers. Emotion Sickness, Queens of the Stone Age, Not Strong Enough, Boy Genius, and Rescued, the Foo Fighters. Best Rock Album, Foo Fighters, Greta Van Fleet, Metallica, Paramore, and Queens of the Stone Age. Best Alternative Music Performance, Alves, Arctic Monkeys, Boy Genius, Lana Del Rey, and Paramore. Best Alternative Music Album, Arctic Monkeys, Boy Genius, Lana Del Rey, Gorillaz, and PJ Harvey put out a record. Who even knew that? My point is this. In neither the Best Rock or Best Metal category is The Surface by Beartooth, to which I say, hey, Grammy people, whoever comes up with these nominees, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because you don't have one of the best records in music, let alone rock and metal, of 2023 on your list. Beartooth should be nominated for all the awards. Flawless, front to back, flawless. And it should be recognized by the mainstream and by the Grammys. So it's a crime that it wasn't recognized. It's ridiculous. So again, the reasoning behind who's nominated, I think it's because the younger bands and the younger generation and the fans and the tastemakers and the writers don't want to see these bands nominated for Grammys, because then they've sold out. That age-old tale of selling out, which, to be honest with you, I don't think that exists anymore in 2024. There's no such thing as selling out anymore. Selling out for what? For who? What are there, 3 major labels left? Your song was in a commercial? You sell out. Your song was on a video game? You sell out. Who cares? Who cares? We don't even buy music anymore. There's no selling out anymore. And believe me, I think some of these bands would want to sell out all over the place. We'll find out who wins and then talk about it again. So I don't know what to say or tell you, but that is the way it is. But last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is more new music, and one of the bands that we've talked about quite a bit on the show. I think one of the best bands out there today, should be nominated for a Grammy at some point, or at some point they should have been, but Bill Murray. They have released new music. They just released a single about 10 days ago, 8 days ago, something like that. Put out a video for it. This band just, they get it. They know how to not only please their fans, but I think they know how to grab people with their hooks, with their songwriting. And I think they're one of the bands to watch coming up this year. I think, I just saw them live at the tail end of last year. Might have been the end of the summer when I saw them here, but great show. Just incredible live performance. I think everything they do is good. Everyone is solid, and it's just good songwriting. It's just hooky music. Here it is. Better Help.
Never even speak your name. After all you put me through, I know you stole a piece of me. So when they ask who hurt you, point the finger at myself, but I figure you. It's in the past, but I still do. No, I'm not in heaven yet, but it's a better hell than you. I can't even think
What a good hook. What a good voice. Just, we'll keep going.
about you.
He's wearing his own band shirt in his own video, which I love. I've done that. I don't care.
Won't even see your face. After the shit you put me through, I know you'll never change. So when they ask
Love
who
it.
hurt you, point the finger at myself, but I figure you. It's in the past, but I still do. No, I'm not in heaven yet, but it's a better hell than you. And everything you do, couldn't feel the truth till it was raining down on you. There's no second chance, and we can't make amends. When I said I wanna end it, you always pretended that it was never true. So when they ask who hurt you, point the
Man, it's, I heard Finn McKenty had Caleb from Beartooth on recently. We've talked about it on the show, but there was a moment where he asked him about, kind of the resurgence of people liking Attack again. And he brought up Bill Murray, and he said that Better Me, which is my favorite song off that Beartooth record, The Surface, he kind of said it sounds like Bill Murray. And there's this country ting, this country undertone to Better Me, and it's definitely in this song. You can hear it in this hook here. I'm going to back up a little bit. You can hear it in this stripped down hook he's about to do coming out of the bridge.
So when they ask who hurt you, point the
You.
finger at myself, but I figure you. It's in the past, but I still do. No,
Country
I'm not
guitars.
in heaven yet,
So people say.
everything you do, couldn't feel the truth till it was raining down on you. There's no second chance, and we can't make amends. When I said I wanna end it, you always pretended that it was never true.
What a cool song. There you go. Bill Murray, Better Hell.
Straight for you.